Each day, my commute takes me mid-span of the high arching Fremont Bridge near downtown Portland, Oregon. From this vantage point, I have a panoramic view of the city skyline. As I look from left to right, the skyline is dotted with tower cranes, looking like a scene from War of the Worlds. My return commute takes me to Vancouver, Washington. This is where I live. And on every empty parcel of land, you see the beginnings of a residential tract. This evidence of good economic times should gladden our hearts. Unfortunately, all this prosperity and the bullish construction market is bringing to light an alarming concern that has been on the minds of construction industry leaders for the last 10 years, which is the huge deficit of skilled tradesmen and the lack of young recruits to the construction trades. According to Joshua Wright, a contributor at Forbes magazine, in 2012, 53% of trade workers in the US were 45 years and older, and 18.6% were between the ages of 55 and 64. Furthermore, 66% of the skilled tradesmen are 45 to 60 years old. Contrast this statistic with the number for the overall labor force, where only 44% are 45 or older, and 15% are in the 55 to 65-year-old range. There is quite a disparity between the overall labor force and the construction labor force. What adds panic to this concern, there are few young recruits entering the construction labor force to replace those workers who are retiring. The effect on the construction labor market could be catastrophic if this is not addressed. You may be thinking, this doesn't really apply to me, it doesn't really concern me. I don't work in the construction industry, I'm not building a house. This stuff will all work itself out, it always does. If this is your mindset, consider those future painting or roofing projects for your home. The cost for these projects will continue to rise, and you will be on long waiting lists for months. Let me put this into perspective for you. You may remember a few years ago when OPEC put the squeeze on the oil market by limiting the quantities of crude oil on the open market. This was done as a tactic to raise the price per barrel of crude oil. Well, guess what? It worked. I can remember fuel prices at $4 to $5 per gallon for motorists and fuel surcharges for trucking and airline travel. These same economic principles apply to the labor market. High demand with low supply equals higher labor costs. Due to a robust economy, demand is rising, and the labor market for skilled tradesmen is stagnant or shrinking. What this translates into is higher construction costs that will be passed on to the consumer and huge construction delays. In the Northwest where I live, there is a shortage of affordable housing due to the skyrocketing costs for new construction and the demand for new homes. These housing dilemmas are only going to get worse. According to the Wall Street Journal, in August of new home construction topped $36 billion, the highest monthly level since October 2007. Came with a downside. There were 676,000 fewer skilled laborers available nationwide to handle the work in 2015 compared to the number of workers in 2007. Due to poor economic conditions from 2008 to 2012, a third of the construction labor force left the industry and never returned. This, coupled with the lack of interest by the millennial generation, has created a huge labor shortfall. Consequently, we can take steps to help curb the impact of this labor shortage. There have been many leaders in the construction industry clamoring for vocational training for our high school age citizenry. U.S. News and World Report quotes Mark Edwards, Executive Director of Opportunity Nation, a campaign to increase economic opportunity in the United States. He said, quote, "We've done a disservice to this in this country by suggesting that there's only one path to success, which is to get a bachelor's degree. There are many good paying jobs available today that, quite candidly, a 4-year Bachelor of Arts degree does not prepare them for," end quote. Georgetown University's Center on Education and the Workforce estimates that by 2012, nearly 2/3 of all jobs will require some sort of post-secondary education or training beyond a high school diploma. This secondary training is not limited to a 4-year college degree. Let's look at South Africa, for example. In South Africa, all children from the ages of 7 to 15 are required to go to school and be taught traditional subjects. After the age of 15, however, the students have the option to continue with traditional secondary education or to receive vocational training in schools dedicated to that purpose. In the United States, we have some outstanding vocational schools that have been producing excellent results for years. The David H. Ponditz Career Technology Center is one such school. Not only does the school offer 14 different vocational options, the students of this vocational high school outperform the balance of the high school district's students on state proficiency exams. There has been a trend to build new science, technology, engineering, and math high schools, known as STEM schools, to accommodate the demand for employees in the science and technology sector. We can apply this same principle to our skilled trades. We can build schools to train those students who are not interested in higher education. It will give a new option to those students who are struggling with traditional education and considering dropping out. Something needs to be done to rebuild the construction workforce. This will have to be a grassroots effort. Currently, there is no organized effort to combat this problem. Construction professionals in every community need to urge our school districts and our politicians to dedicate funding to vocational training for those that prefer an alternative education. This will require battles with teacher unions and entrenched school administrators, but we can't back down. This is an issue that will reach into everyone's wallet at some point. Everyone needs to get involved today by forging alliances with local tradesmen associations and local education outlets, as well as city and county councils, to create programs to train the new construction labor force. Thank you.